Next on Startup, we head to Amherst, New Hampshire to talk to Amy, who founded LaBelle Winery. Then we head over to South Kingstown, Rhode Island to talk to Perry, the owner of Matunuck Oyster Bar and Farm. All of this and more is next on Startup.
There is nothing easy about starting a small business. A baker's tale, all natural and gluten-free cookies, tarts, pies, and cakes online. A Baker's Tale is proud to support Startup and all of the entrepreneurs out there trying to sweeten their own story of success.
The American small business was built on one thing: relationships. And every time a customer walks through the door, a new one begins. Pay Anywhere was built to help entrepreneurs do what they do best. So keep loving what you do. Just get paid for it. Pay Anywhere.
The Michigan Economic Development Corporation is proud to support Startup and all the dreamers, thinkers, and doers. Pure Michigan, ready for the next big thing.
You've written your own story of success, and it shows. Chrysler is proud to support Startup and all the people out there who define their own success.
My name is Gary Brado, and I'm a documentary filmmaker and an entrepreneur. The economy is in less than perfect shape, and when the jobs go away, there's nothing left to do but get up and get creative. And there are people all over America doing just that. It's estimated that up to 85% of new businesses fail. So I'm going coast to coast to hear the personal stories of the people who beat the odds and started a successful business from the ground up. This is Startup. I'm on Route 101 in Amherst, New Hampshire, and I'm gonna go talk to Amy, the owner of LaBelle, an independent winery and tasting room. Let's go hear her story. The oldest known winery was discovered in a cave in Armenia. Dated to 4100 BC, the site contained a wine press, fermentation vats, jars, and cups. Archaeologists also found vinifera seeds and vines. Amy literally had a dream to start a winery after visiting a small winery in Nova Scotia. She took her lightning bolt moment very seriously, and today she's the owner of one of the most celebrated restaurants and wineries in all of New Hampshire.
Hi, my name is Amy LaBelle.
And I'm Cesar Arboleda. We're the proud owners of LaBelle Winery in Amherst, New Hampshire.
Our mission is to create unique and innovative wine that we share with the world.
So, tell me about yourself.
Well, my name is Amy LaBelle. I'm the founder of and winemaker at LaBelle Winery, which you're in.
History, work history, personal history.
Born into a hardworking family, unfortunately not a trust fund baby. I keep asking, but my family keeps insisting
That didn't work out for
one.
me either. Yeah, it's got to be one somewhere down in there now.
Right, I
Nothing.
keep hoping. So I was born in Chicopee, raised there until I left for, I actually stayed local for college and then left for law school. I went down to Pennsylvania for law school, and I did end up practicing for about 16 years.
Wow.
But during the last 10 years of that practice, I was developing what is now LaBelle Winery.
Did you grow up on a winery or something? Did your parents make wine? Or you just love wine?
Yeah, we get this question a lot. So, the story, people want to hear the story that, my great uncle in Italy made wine, or my great, whoever made wine in France.
Right.
But it isn't like that for me. So I was on vacation in Nova Scotia, Canada. I was not in wine country. And we happened upon a small sign on the side of the road that kind of said, winery this way. It had an arrow on it. I can still kind of see it in my head.
That was the crossroads.
Yeah, and I had a little extra time. I didn't even mean to go there. And I can't describe it as anything other than an aha moment.
Yeah.
Or, the lightning bolt appeared. It hit me like a ton of bricks, and I said, oh my gosh, I think that I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm so grateful to have had that moment of clarity that said, hey, go this way and do this.
A lot of people will probably have those moments, but it's whether or not you actually act on them, is the difference, right?
Absolutely.
And people are scared to follow instincts for some reason.
Absolutely, because you have that little voice in your head that's doubt.
Responsibility.
Security.
Security.
And reality. At the time, I had still had $103,000 in student loan debt weighing on me. So, it wasn't a rational thought to tell my family, hey, guess what? I forget that law stuff. I'm gonna be a winemaker.
I wouldn't even know where to begin. So how the heck how do you start a winery?
I devoured books about winemaking. So I began working on small batches of wine, learning business planning, working on a business plan, trying to figure out just how to tackle this. I ended up being introduced to a family out in the western part of New Hampshire that owns a large apple orchard. And they really wanted to have a winery on the property, but they didn't know how to make wine, and I knew how to make wine, but I didn't have a place to do it. So
Nerds made it happen.
And I still remember, at this point I had met my husband, Caesar, and we were not married yet, but we were, the night before I was going to make that first big batch of wine.
Yeah.
It was going to be 400 gallons, and he said, do you know how you're going to get that done? And I said, yeah, I think so. I scaled it up to 400, and by comparison, this year we made 70,000 gallons of wine. So
that's a slight increase.
Yeah.
I don't know what the percentage
feels easier
is.
Now, though.
Just add several zeros to the end.
Portsmouth, New Hampshire was voted one of the best small cities for startups in America, with 111 small businesses per 1,000 people.
So where are we right now, and what's going on?
So right now, Gary, is what we're doing is we're aging our Americas wine.
What am I looking for?
So right now,
when you drink this,
you're looking for the aromas, aromas, taste, mouthfeel. Before you take a sip, get a nice whiff of it.
Yeah.
Try to get all the aromas that you get in there. So these barrels are nice and new.
it's good. Do you remember the first time she came home and said, let's do this? Let's start a winery.
Absolutely. We were on a date, on a first date, and we were talking, and she says, I want to open up a winery. And then I said, here in New Hampshire? A winery? She said, yes. And then I thought she was crazy, but 12 years later, here I am.
How is it to work with your spouse? Does it get difficult at times, challenging? Does it put a strain on the relationship?
Knock on wood, we haven't had we don't have any problems working together. She has her roles. She is the boss.
Tell me about the piece of property that we're on now. This place is beautiful.
This land in particular was very conducive to grape growing because the slopes are proper, they face the right direction to the sun. When we had the grounds tested, the soils were perfect for grape growing. So it was as if it was meant to be.
It was another thing, yeah.
It was meant to be, but we paid just about $350,000 for this 11-acre piece.
Do you take out a loan?
Caesar and I are both savers.
Yeah.
So we were saving, and that's one of the reasons why we kept our day jobs, was so that we would have the money. So we were able to buy the land with cash. So then we had the land, but that wasn't going to be enough. And I needed that piece in order to get the bank interested in doing the funding.
How did you get the loan?
Well, we were asking for $3.5 million. It's a lot.
Small loan.
It's a lot.
Wow.
But we built a 20,000 square foot facility.
Yeah.
With a restaurant, an event center, a full tasting room, and a full manufacturing piece.
Why did they say yes? How did you convince them? After you had gotten 4 no's, I would assume.
We got 4 no's, and we were on our 5th bank. We were trying not just to create a brand, but to create an entire market. And so this was kind of a tough sell at the beginning.
And risky, yeah.
And risky.
A market that we're going to create a market that doesn't exist.
Right. Watch us do it. So I had to really write a business plan that helped them understand the vision and how it could be a reality. And once I did that, the answer came swiftly.
In moderation, wine is said to have many health benefits. In fact, the world's oldest person attributed her ripe old age of 122 to a diet of olive oil, wine, and 1 kilogram of chocolate per week.
So somebody coming in as like me, total rookie, novice, know nothing about wine. How do you treat folks like that?
We say to those people, come to LaBelle. We will help you. You can learn whatever you want to learn, or not. You can just enjoy it. Either way. I hate it when I see people coming apologetic almost, that they don't know. I'm so sorry, I don't know. I say, that's great. You've come to the right place. Let's learn. It's great.
Good. That's probably makes it a lot more comfortable for people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an approachable winery, for sure.
And so you've won a lot of awards.
We have over 70 awards in international competition. And
wow.
That's fun.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
Over the last
10 years.
What award are you most proud of?
We got an award at the Eastern States Regional Competition. So there were over 3,500 entries.
Yeah.
And we got Best of Show, and that just felt...
Did you win any other categories with that?
Oh, yeah. We won a lot at that competition. We won it with a wine called Three Kings, which is a triple berry port. I named it after my three kings, my husband and my two boys.
I mean, it seems like everything was so smooth, but was there anything, big challenging hurdles you've had to overcome?
I'm glad everything sounds smooth, because it didn't feel smooth on my end. The big surprise in this building has been how overwhelming and all-encompassing it is to have 70 employees.
Holy cow, that's
Right.
You're employing a lot of the community.
Yes, we are. We want to provide good jobs, but you also have to find people that understand your vision and who can buy into it and own it like their own.
Yeah, which is very difficult.
Very difficult. So we didn't anticipate that.
What advice would you have for other entrepreneurs out there?
You have to make some hard choices. And to do that, you have to be dauntless. And so, for me, it was a simple analysis of what I was willing to risk. We figured we'd give it our absolute best shot.
What do you got to lose?
And if it all went to hell, I don't care.
At least you tried. There's nothing worse than sitting there saying, I wish I would have.
Well, exactly. I don't want to regret. This is a wine that I'm really proud of. This is another port. This is called Anthology. And it is a blueberry port.
This smells like I just opened up a fresh jar of jam or something.
It's very jammy, yes.
Is that a real wine term that I just used?
Yes, it is.
Jammy, really?
Yes, good job.
I was just saying what it smelled like.
See, there's always an opportunity to learn at LaBelle.
This is fantastic.
Cheers.
Cheers. That's so good. There are a million ways to start a business, but how did Amy do it? Let's find out. She started with about $5,000 in the bank and a credit score of 800. She's been open for roughly 10 years, and she spends around $20,000 a month for her mortgage. Amy has a law degree, and the one word that she would use to describe what it takes to make it in business is fearlessness. Amy was very passionate about starting a business. So after she let it ferment for a while, she jumped in the barrel with both feet and started a very tasteful business. Sometimes taking a big risk can be the wine key to your success. For more information, log on to our website and click the link for LaBelle. I'm on Succotash Road in South Kingstown, Rhode Island, and I'm gonna go talk to Perry, the owner of Matunuck, a pond-to-plate oyster bar and farm. Let's go hear his story. Oyster farming is an aquaculture practice in which oysters are raised for human consumption. The ancient Romans practiced oyster farming as early as 100 BC on the Italian peninsula. Perry grew up digging for oysters in Rhode Island, and after going away to college, he decided to come back and follow his passion by starting his own oyster bar and farm that's literally serving from pond to plate.
My name is Perry Rasso from Matunuck Oyster Bar and Matunuck Oyster Farm. Our mission is to become the best restaurant in the world by providing the freshest food and giving the best customer service.
All right, so let's start at the top. How'd you get interested in this sort of thing?
Well, I all started, I was about 12 or 13 years old. A buddy of mine, a local Swamp Yankee boy, took me clam digging, made 30 or 40 bucks a day, and
Nice.
in junior high, that's a lot of money.
You were hustling.
I was hustling.
So all through high school, were you hustling?
Yeah, all through high school,
oysters?
and then I was always nervous about what I wanted to do when I grew up, and I dug shellfish through college. I was away at school in northern Colorado. I was really wrestling.
You were a wrestler?
Yeah, that's why I was in Colorado, and then realized I missed the ocean, and came back to study marine biology, which turned out to be too difficult of a course for me, and so I switched to aquaculture and fisheries technology, which is something that I really took to.
How was the clam digging in Colorado?
it was tough. It was tough. You know, my first 2 years of college, I couldn't, you know, I wasn't digging shellfish. I thought, okay, I dug shellfish in high school, now I'm going to college and I'm gonna, you know, get some different kind of career. But, you know, in the summers it always came back to the digging shellfish, and then, you know, when I came back to URI, it was digging shellfish all year long, you know, and not just the summer.
You realize that's what you love, right?
Yeah, well, I really love it, but, you know, that's not why I do it. I think I wound up doing it because that's what I knew how to do. And when I'm not doing it, you know, and that's when I realized I really do love it.
All right, so Matunuck, what does it mean?
Matunuck is a Narragansett Indian word. It means lookout.
What is your business? Summarize your business in a couple sentences.
Farming. My business is farming.
Farming. But this restaurant is a place to sell what you're making.
True. That's true. It's you know, the oyster farm is where it started. Then it kind of, you know, the restaurant became incorporated and became the bigger of the businesses.
Talk about the loan. Did you go to banks first? Did you have a business plan?
Well, yeah. In order to get a farm services agency loan, you know, they'll only give you the loan if you get turned down by a traditional lender, which of course I did. So the farm service agency stepped up and helped me to be able to purchase the property.
Is that a national agency? I've never heard of with FSA.
Yeah, it's FSA is a part of USDA, Department of Agriculture.
Cool. It supports, I would assume, the creation of new farms, right?
It does.
Okay.
It does.
Was it an easy process?
I wouldn't call it easy. It wasn't too difficult. I mean, I got it, but you know, things. You know, I don't mind when things are difficult. If things are too easy, then it's, you know, it's usually not worth it.
Rhode Island is the smallest state in size in the United States. Its distance north to south is only 48 miles, and east to west, 37.
All right, so tell me about these guys right here. What kind of oyster is it? What's the process?
This is a Matunuck oyster. We grow Matunucks and Potter Moons out here. The Matunuck oyster is crisp, briny, has a sweet finish. It's a petite oyster, it's not a big oyster. So we're able to get it to market size in 2 to 3 years.
Talk about the farm. How is this set up here?
So the oyster farm started in one acre farm. When we filled it up in a few years with you know, tens of thousands of oysters, and we gradually expanded. Here you can see we have rows of oysters, just like rows of corn at the corn farm. And we have them in these sturdy plastic mesh containers going down in lines.
So the process, you guys got to go through here and clean this stuff up out of all these rows?
Well, what they'll do is they take the bags out and they'll empty them out. This size class will go into the oyster tumbler, which tumbles the oysters and separates the size classes.
But you're touching these a lot of times.
You have to handle them a lot, and you know, the question, the question is, how many times do we actually touch the oyster before we get it to market size? And no one really knows the answer because you have to handle them so many times.
All right, so you just pick up the basket like this?
And strap it, pick it up. You got the smaller size class. This is the larger size class. So
shake it a little bit.
Shake them up a little bit. Cleans them off, breaks off that new growth. Flip the bag over. You can see there's a different type of algae growing on the other side.
Why is that? Different types?
The sun, with the sun makes the macroalgae grow, and with the not sun tunicates, that organism on the bottom of the bag, it's colonial. It will just cover the whole bag if you don't take care of it.
Is this all stuff that you've just picked
Learned
up along
the hard
the
way? Yeah, when I first started, I put a bunch of oysters in the water and went off on a fishing trip and came back, you know, and figure, you know, go digging clams and figure I'll come back next year and have $1 million. And then I realized I came back and looked in my oyster bags and they were full of starfish and dead oysters. And I was like, oh, this doesn't work this way, does it?
All right, so what do we have here?
These are bay scallops. In the U.S., we usually only eat the adductor muscle, the muscle that holds the shells closed. But you know, a raw bay scallop, you can see this guy opening and closing. Nothing sweeter than a raw bay scallop. It just...
You know, I've never heard of just eating a raw scallop. Usually it's seared, you know, pan-seared, one side with the other side.
You want to try one?
I do.
Nice.
Absolutely.
So there you have it.
Sweet. All right.
Fresh
Bottoms up.
oyster. Enjoy.
Wow, that's good, man. It's salty.
Yep.
Real salty. I mean, it just came right out of the sea.
Slightly sweet finish at the end. It's a unique product.
Now I just need about 11 more.
Oh, we'll be good to go. More than that to fill you up, I think.
Exactly, man. I'll take about 25 more.
We can do that.
What do you guys do out here in the winter? Does it shut down, freeze over? I mean, it's shallow.
No, it does freeze over, but we can break the ice where the market-sized animals are and get those market-sized animals. There's not as much productivity, so there's not as much algae to clean off the bags or those tuna kits to clean off the bags. The oysters don't grow as quick, so we don't have to separate them, separate the size classes as often. And being able to harvest all year round kind of separates ourselves from some of the other farms that maybe can't harvest in the winter.
An oyster produces a pearl when a grain of sand or some other irritant becomes trapped inside. The oyster then coats it repeatedly with a combination of calcium and protein, otherwise known as mother of pearl, to reduce the irritation. How do you stay relevant and keep people coming in and informed? You have a website, obviously, but are you active on social media at all?
Yeah, we have, we have the, the Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff that, Twitter and all that stuff. But I think the focus has got to be on the customers. It's got to be on the quality of the food. It's got to be on customer service. The goal, and it sounds, corny when I say it to the employees, the goal for this restaurant is to be the best restaurant in the world. And we'll never know if we achieve that goal, but the way that's gauged is the highest percentage of customers that leave this restaurant say, that's my favorite restaurant.
So how long you guys been coming here?
Ever since he opened.
Day one. Were you here
Day
really?
one.
Literally?
Day one. And even before that, because Harry used to rent a house here on the channel. We lived a little further down, and he'd go out and farm his oysters and come by the house. We'd leave him money, he'd leave me oysters.
Nice. And what about the staff? How do people treat you here?
Like queen, king and queen.
So what is Barry like as a person?
You would know, he walks around here like you would never know he's the owner.
When we pulled in, I thought he was one of the valet guys.
Exactly.
That's not good. He's not tall enough to be a valet.
Matt.
We better cut that out. He's going to put something funny in your oysters here. What's your greatest piece of advice for people that just have a dream, want to start a small business, want to do it on their own?
I was actually told by an advisor in college, I'll never forget it, he said, don't be an idiot. Invest your money in things that are going to make you money. And that is great advice.
What's the best part of being an entrepreneur?
I mean, it's nice, being your own boss, but at the same time, I think the amount of pressure that, people put on themselves when they're the boss is kind of overshadows the joy of being able to determine your schedule, because
you can't stop long enough to stop and celebrate because you're too busy.
It's not like, okay, I make my own schedule, I'm going to take the day off. If that happens, then you're probably not going to be your own boss for long. So
what do you think's been the hardest part of this entire process?
I don't think I can just point out one thing. It's not, lots of things. I mean, I wake up in the morning and it's not a feeling of accomplishment. It's not a feeling of satisfaction. It's more of a feeling like there's no way I'm going to get everything done that I have to get done today.
Are you happy doing what you love?
No, I'm never happy.
Never satisfied.
There's always more. But I mean, when I step back and look at the big picture, I see that it's amazing the way it's developed.
All right, well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thanks for coming.
I'm really excited about this place and more excited to eat lunch here.
Awesome.
There are a million ways to start a business, but how did Perry do it? Let's find out. He started with around $1,500 in the bank and a credit score of 720. He earned money to start the business from digging shellfish. In his first year of business, he did over $1 million in sales. He has a master's degree, and the one word he would use to describe what it takes to make it in business is perseverance.
You don't have to be a Rockefeller to start a business, but you also can't clam up or sit around and ponder your idea for too long. Looks like Perry knew what he wanted to do from day one, and decisiveness was his pearl of wisdom. Do what you love and get paid for it, and the world is your oyster. For more information, log on to our website and click the link from Matunuck.
I would never change a thing in my past. What I am today is a result of all the experiences I've had, good and bad, success and failures in my career. I wouldn't change anything, because I actually think the failures are more important than the successes. You tend not to make them again. They sting so hard and they're very expensive. I don't like making mistakes. I don't make the same ones twice. And I today spend a lot of my time teaching about what I did wrong so people don't do that again. I mean, this is really important. I think every entrepreneur that has success owes the generation coming up information about what not to do. It's easy to boast about your successes. It's harder to explain why you made failures.
Next time on Startup, we head home to Detroit, Michigan to talk to Danielle, who created Detroit Made. Then we head over to York, Maine to talk to Tom, the owner of Maine Coast Shellfish. Be sure to join us next time on Startup.
And then, what is it you do for a living?
I play professional football for the Detroit Lions.
Okay, this is the big question. Super Bowl is here?
Yes.
Come on, please.
Yeah.
Please, I'm begging. It's been a...
You've written your own story of success, and it shows. Chrysler is proud to support Startup and all the people out there who define their own success.
The Michigan Economic Development Corporation is proud to support Startup and all the dreamers, thinkers, and doers. Pure Michigan, ready for the next big thing.
The American small business was built on one thing: relationships. And every time a customer walks through the door, a new one begins. Pay Anywhere was built to help entrepreneurs do what they do best. So keep loving what you do. Just get paid for it. Pay Anywhere.
There is nothing easy about starting a small business. A Baker's Tale, all natural and gluten-free cookies, tarts, pies, and cakes online. A Baker's Tale is proud to support Startup and all of the entrepreneurs out there trying to sweeten their own story of success.